Hello. How's everybody doing? Can everybody hear me? My name is Rob. Welcome to the live stream. It's Tuesday again. Wow, this week went by crazy fast. Let me know if you can that you can hear me. A couple of yeses right off the bat. Awesome. Now, why is this? No, that's cool. Something a little bit different. I'm trying to kind of change up the intro a little bit. I had it going for 5 minutes like I did last week, but this time I kind of had like call it a precursor to the behind the scenes thing. Just so you can kind of see me get ready, I guess. Pamela says, yes, was crazy fast. What was crazy fast? I mean, maybe that's my mind. My mind's already forgotten what I just said. But yeah, no, great that you can hear me. That sometimes is a challenge. And when I set up this intro, basically to have a little window into me getting ready and whatnot, I wanted to make sure the mic was off, so I muted it. But I didn't know when I switched over to the main camera, if the mute would stay muted or not, and it didn't. So it worked just fine. So how's everybody doing? And let me know where you're watching from. Introduce yourself in the live chat, if you will. If you're new, welcome aboard. And if you're returning, welcome back. And glad to have you here again. Yes, Pam, the week did go fast. Okay, yes, that's exactly what I said. It went crazy fast. For any other Canadians out there, like myself, yesterday was our national holiday, Canada Day. It's July 1st. And I know you in the United States will have your national holiday in a couple days, July 4th. We always have ours a few days before you. Sometimes a long weekend matches up with yours, sometimes it doesn't. So for us, this past weekend was a long weekend. Had a lot of fun. The weather wasn't the greatest yesterday, but it's getting better out there now. So, So again, I'm Rob. I do these weekly live streams every Tuesday, and I talk about Camtasia and YouTube and live streaming, video editing, whatever else you want me to talk about. For the most part, my videos that I also post weekly are about Camtasia, or that's what they've been about the last many weeks anyways, but I'm perfectly willing to veer off of that if any of you want me to talk about something else. And that's kind of the idea behind the poll that I posted here this morning, this afternoon here, sorry, this morning, maybe where you're from. That's just to get a sense of what kinds of videos you'd like me to make. Making these Camtasia videos is relatively easy for me at this point. I've got kind of a system down. You've probably noticed that most of my videos on Camtasia are very similar. The intro is very similar but different every time. And the ending, actually, for the last several videos has been exactly the same. Just kind of advertising this live stream for anybody who wants additional help. But yeah, and then the middle of my videos is pretty much the same. I'll either put myself in a circle mask while I record what I'm doing in Camtasia, or I'll put myself on the screen and remove my background using Camtasia's awesome background remover tool. Remover or removal? I don't know what it is because that part of it is cut off in the program. So I'm not sure what the intention. Remove, it's how to remove your background, and it's AI, and it's quick, it's fast, and it's awesome. And as somebody pointed out this week to me, they were surprised to see me, one of my earlier videos that had my background removed, I was wearing a green shirt, and they thought, how do you wear a green shirt and remove your background? I thought the only way to remove a background is to put a green screen behind you, and then of course you can't wear green, because if you wear a green shirt and there's a green screen and you're going to remove green, your shirt will be removed. Well, your whole body will be removed. So you can remove any color with Camtasia's background remover. tool or removal tool. Not necessarily green. And honestly, if you wanted to wear green and you used a green screen, you would just have to change the color of your screen. That's why some people use a blue screen, for instance, if they have green that they want not to remove, and maybe blue is a color they can remove instead. So anyways, the live streaming software that I use is Ecamm Live, and it doesn't have the ability to choose the color to remove. I have two choices, green or blue. So that's for live, but I don't do that live. I don't remove anything live. Well, having said that, when I showed a few weeks ago, when I showed you how to kind of draw on your screen live, for that I did use a green background so I could remove the green. But anyways, I digress. So let me quickly go through the chat. Let's start with that. Actually, let me fire up the overlay so you know what we're going to talk about today. Boom, right there. So introduction, Q&A, latest videos, upcoming videos, and then a few things I've written down to go into more detail about. But let's also put the yellow highlighter onto the introduction, which is what we're kind of in right now. And I will go through the chat. So let me go and move this yellow highlighter down to the Q&A. So this is your chance to ask me questions before I get into some other things. As always, if you have a question at any point in this live stream, feel free to ask, and I will answer you. If I'm in the middle of something else and the question is unrelated, I may wait. But if not, we can have a back and forth chat here, and yeah, I'll answer anything with respect to Camtasia, YouTube, or whatever else, if it's related, that you have, and hopefully that can help you out. So yeah, let's quickly go into I'll let the poll keep running for a bit. As of right now, 3/4 of you, 75%, would like to see a behind the scenes video, how I work. And I mentioned last week that that's something I'm thinking about doing and I'm kind of working towards. So that's good if you guys want to see that. No votes yet for being a successful freelancer. That's fine. How to be successful on YouTube has 17% and how to live stream 8%. Okay, so well, I'll just let that keep running for now. That's 12 votes so far, and we'll check back into that a little bit later. Now, let me just click on that. Okay, so if I go back to the live chat here, sorry, bear with me. Yeah, so Greg Childers, hi Rob, we're ready and waiting for another great class. Hello Greg, welcome back. You've been here several times, good to see you. And we have Sachin BS. Hi sir, this is Sachin. Hello Sachin, how you doing? From India, wow, very good. How to work lower third animation in Camtasia and how to convert them into placeholder. Okay, let me make a note of that. So lower third animation placeholder. Perfect. So I haven't used placeholders I don't use placeholders very much, but I could show you how to use them. I do use templates, and I do like to reuse some things that I create. So if I create a lower third, if there's one that I like and I want to reuse it, I mean, there's a couple different ways you can go. You can save it in your library and then call it back. And whether you have a placeholder there or if it's you know, text or something that you will just delete and replace later, that's where what I tend to do. I'll just delete something and replace it with what I want rather than using a placeholder. But I'm going to, that's something that I've got on my list, is to do a video on placeholders. So once I really dive into that, I'll be able to talk a little bit more intelligently on exactly like the ins and the outs of how to do that. So let me just, I'm gonna put that one on hold for now, but perhaps later on in today's video I can get to that because it's a little bit more involved. Brigadier William Wildebeest, See you in a bit, Rob the Maritimer. Welcome. Thanks for stopping in. And I'll keep going. Jolene Morris. Hello, Jolene. Welcome back. Hi, all from Phoenix, Arizona. Sunny, hot, beautiful Phoenix. I love Phoenix. I love just north of Phoenix, too. Sedona, Grand Canyon, all that kind of area. Beautiful country. And Tech for Senior, Ron Brown from sunny Comox, BC. Welcome back, Ron. Thanks for stopping in again. Good to see you. Sybil Morgan, hi everyone from MO, which is, I always want to say Montana, but I know it's Missouri now. So welcome from Missouri, or Missouri. Sybil, thanks for stopping in again. Good to see you. Uterp Lab, hi Rob, my name is Renato from North Italy, 50 kilometers from Venice. Oh, very good. I've never been to Venice. That would be beautiful. I've been to Rome before, very quickly. It was just a quick trip. But northern Italy. So would that be, when I think of northern Italy, I think of the Alps. So are you in Alps country, like skiing country? But when I think of Venice, I think of really low to the water and canals and all that stuff. But looks beautiful from what I've seen. Excel with Chris. Hello, Excel with Chris. Watching from South Africa. Very good. Welcome and good to see you here in the live stream. Uterp Lab says, have you ever been to Italy? Are you thinking of coming here in the future? So yeah, as I just said, yes, I've been to Italy. It was Rome. It was, I think maybe 4 days is all I was there for, but pretty cool. It was beautiful, actually. A lot busier and more densely populated than what I'm used to here in East Coast Halifax. But it was pretty cool. I saw not Parthenon, that's Greece. I saw, what's it called? The Pantheon. The Pantheon with the dome and really old. We had a place not far from there. So we walked around and yeah, beautiful. Lots of awesome places to eat too. As for whether I will plan to go again in the future, I would love to. But time will tell, I guess. It's not in my immediate plans, but we will see. I'd love to get back someday. And Pamela Power says, Canva doesn't compute for me. Okay. Sorry to hear that. It is, if you're used to using Camtasia, well, Canva and Camtasia are totally different. That you do different things with them. But in my experience, Canva is a nice supporting app for Camtasia or for any video editor, really. Canva, I would compare Canva to Photoshop in that they are both programs that allow you to create photos, manipulate photos, create graphics. Photoshop is way more advanced, and I'm not a user of Photoshop. I have dabbled in it before, but I found it very difficult, very hard to learn. And Canva, for me, I guess it does compute. It took me a while, as with any new software. I could do, I have done one very general video on Canva. I think that was, when was that? That was earlier in the year. Just basically kind of walked through how I would create a thumbnail. And in fact, the way I create thumbnails has evolved since I made that Canva video, so maybe it's time for me to make another one. Yeah, it's just got a couple of different ways to do things. Control Z is your friend, or Control Z. Just remember that. As with most programs, if you make a mistake and want to go back, you can typically go Control Z to go back a step, and then do it again to go back another step, and so on. That might help. But let me know what you're trying to use Canva for, and then maybe I could help a little bit better. Again, what I use it for, so like Camtasia, and actually that's a good point. There are a lot of very simple tools in Camtasia for putting graphics on screen. And when I say simple tools, I'm kind of talking about the ability to put shapes on the screen. So circles, spheres, rectangles, modify the colors, and all those sorts of things. And typically, I think you'd use those for, maybe backgrounds that you put text on, and then you can animate them in and out in Camtasia. You can create more complicated shapes by combining shapes in Camtasia and grouping them together and things like that. But if you want to make something more complicated, or if there's something that you'd like to do, and I think we've actually talked about this, you wondered how to do circular text, that sort of thing. That's not something you can do in Camtasia. So for anything you can't do image manipulation wise to things in Camtasia, but that you want to be in Camtasia, I go to Canva to do that, to do a little more complicated things. Again, it's not the most complicated to learn. Photoshop, if you're having, like, if Canva, you find Canva difficult, I would hesitate to guess you'd probably find Photoshop even harder. But with the increase in hardness, usually comes an increase of things that you can do, more things that you can do that are cool and yeah. So basically, the more complex things you want to do, you have to use typically software that's a little more complex. So yeah, I find Canva good for doing things. Well, for making all my thumbnails, I use Canva. I have heard of people using Camtasia to make a thumbnail and then just doing, taking a snapshot of something that you built in Camtasia. I haven't done that, but you can. I mean, if you think about, so PowerPoint is another program that a lot of people use along with Camtasia. They'll use PowerPoint to create slides, right? And then you can export those slides, bring them into Camtasia, and now create a video out of it. But if you want your video presentation to be more dynamic in that some of the elements within your designed slide move independently of one another, then I would build it as much as I could in Camtasia, because then you can, if you build things in Camtasia, or at least import all the images that make up a slide independently into Camtasia, then you can animate them in and out independently, right? If you build everything in PowerPoint or Canva, build an entire slide, and then bring that into Camtasia, just like that, you won't be able to animate on or off all the individual elements within that slide that you made, if that makes sense. So yeah, you'd almost want to think about what am I trying to build here? What do I want in Camtasia? What's the end result thing that I'm looking to try to do? And then just break it down into its parts. And if there are any parts there that you don't know how to make in Camtasia, there's a good chance you can do it in Canva. And if you can't do it in Canva, then you may have to go to like a Photoshop or something else. I don't know, CorelDRAW. I don't know if that's still a thing. Something else. There's other software programs, but honestly, Canva is all I use when I go outside of Camtasia for making images. So yeah, let me know if you want any more help on that, and I can look into doing that. Hello, Ted. Hello all, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, Ted. Good to see you back. And your favorite Maritimer. Do you know more than me as a Maritimer? There's not very many people that live up here in the Canadian Maritimes. I think like our province of Nova Scotia, which is, a good size. I don't know what I would compare it to. Maybe the size of New Jersey, probably even bigger than New Jersey. But there's only 1 million people, like just 1 million people in all of Nova Scotia. And our capital city of the province, Halifax, has about half of that. So it's around 500,000 people, including like the whole metro area, all and the outlying areas, of which I'm one. Like I'm probably a 30-minute or 25-minute drive to downtown Halifax, where I am right now. But yeah, not a lot of people in the Maritimes, and Nova Scotia is the most populous province in the Maritimes. So New Brunswick, I think, has 600,000. Newfoundland has about that as well, 600,000. Prince Edward Island has maybe 300,000 in the summer, but less than that in the winter. So not many people here, but I love it. And Tech for Senior, where did your video that was to be published yesterday go? It should be there. I actually, so typically I publish Wednesday, Friday, Monday. This past week, I did not do one last Wednesday. It was Thursday, and then I did one yesterday. So 2 videos this week, Thursday and then yesterday. But you can, let me just check real quick, but it should be there. I'll go to Studio and Content, Behavior Presets. It's there. Let's go to Rob the Maritimer, the YouTube channel. I suppose I could share with you what I'm doing. Bring the browser down here. Whoops, what did I do? Right there. 1 day ago. There it is right there. That's the video I released yesterday. Click on it.
Behaviors are an easy way.
It works. So, not sure, or maybe you were looking for a third video since my last live stream. There wasn't one. There was only 2 this week. So that's that. But yeah, so yesterday's video was, I'll put that here. So behavior presets, how to create behavior presets. What did y'all think about the videos this week? They both had to do with behaviors. The one last Thursday was behaviors versus animations, when to use one over the other. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. And Jolene says, when you get to Camtasia 2025, update on the agenda, will you remind us about the noise removal? I can't find that on TechSmith website. I can tell you right now, because I had clarification from TechSmith, that noise removal will be available in Camtasia 2025. And so I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but you asked, so might as well tell. It's an awesome tool, and you won't find it on their website right now, but I did a little, if you go back to my live stream, was it 2 weeks ago, where I talked about Camtasia 2025 and the future things that were coming. Let me just double check. Was that wasn't last week. Yeah, live stream 32. So the one on June 18th. If you check out that live stream, I talked about the noise removal there, and I played the video during my live stream that was from TechSmith, and it showed them going through how it works. And it was really cool. And it will be available in Camtasia 2025, all versions. So you don't need to get the Pro, which will have Camtasia and Audiate. So it'll be available with Camtasia Essentials, is what they're calling, like the lowest tier subscription. Or if you have a perpetual license that you're maintaining and paying the maintenance fee to keep up current, then you will have access to that. And so last I heard, Camtasia 2025 will be available in October of 2024. So just a few months from now. So that's that. Pam says, I used to do Photoshop when I first started out. Now I use Photoshop Elements. Okay. I haven't used Photoshop Elements, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that might be just a scaled down version of Photoshop, maybe? I'm not too sure. Not too sure. I used to have the entire Adobe suite, so Photoshop, Premiere Pro for the video editing, all of it. I mean, After Effects, but I find a lot of them very hard to learn, and brain's only so big. It's like a hard drive. I think my brain is like a hard drive. Once it fills up, you need to start deleting stuff so you can put more stuff in there. That's the way I work. Anyways, so if I took the time to learn Photoshop, other stuff might be falling out the back end. And we don't want that. Not the back end, the other side of my head. I don't know. Anyway, you know what I mean. Uterpled, sorry for out theme. Italy is a peninsula with a very mixed geography. Behind our back, we have the mountains with snow, and in front of us are the beaches with the sun. An hour's drive in both directions. Oh, that's awesome. So you can... you have access to both. That sounds a lot like Vancouver in Canada, where you can be very close to beaches and very close to skiing. Sounds amazing. Although I've never been to Vancouver either, even though I'm from Canada. In both directions, a lucky point for us Italians. Yes, very lucky. Dino Rossi. Hello, Rob. Hello, Dino. Welcome. I believe you're another from Italy. So that's two Italians we have in here. Very good. Jonathan Johnson. Hello and welcome to the live stream. Welcome back. You've been here before. Question: are creating custom templates useful when creating a series of videos for a group of projects? The template evolves. What is your workflow to update the projects when the base template evolves? Good question. Great question. I guess it depends on what your workflow is and what works best for you. For me, I don't use templates that much. I mean, I do in the sense that I have created a template for the typical videos that I make for Camtasia. And sometimes when I launch or when I am about to create a new video, I will open a new project or launch a new project, start from a template, and I start from that template. But that's not the only way. Because my template, I don't have placeholders in there. I still have a couple of elements from the project I was working on when I created that template. And actually, if you go back into my channel, there is a video on creating templates and how to use them and the benefits of them. I'm going to say maybe 2 months ago or so. And you can check that out. However, like for instance, the videos I made this past week, I didn't do it that way. Because templates for me are a relatively new thing. I mean, I learned them basically to make the video for you guys to show you how to use them. But what I've gotten used to over the years is going to my previous video that I made for, so in my case, for this YouTube channel, let's talk about yesterday's video. Okay, so when I was putting together yesterday's video, I first opened up the video that I did last Thursday. I opened that. Sorry. Actually, let me show you. This will be better. Instead of me just talking, I can show you, and that's what the whole point of this is, right? So let me bring this over here. I'm going to bring this back. Okay, so this is my Finder window, or for you who are on a PC, this is like File Manager. Okay, in a Mac, it's called Finder. So I will go to my projects. Okay, here are my most recent projects. Anything older than that, I've already offloaded from my computer to my Synology NAS, which is in another room under our staircase, for safer keeping, and to free up hard drive space on my Mac. As you see down here, I've got 1.12 terabytes available. I think it got down to 800 or so gigabytes available when I offloaded some. So that's kind of my work process. So what I'll do, let's say I'm making a video for tomorrow. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to right click here, click new folder. I am going to type in the date to 2024-07, and I'll probably put in today's date. Now, in this case, I'll put in tomorrow's. I'm not going to make anything else. So 03 will be tomorrow, July 3rd, and then space. Let's just call this test video. I'm just doing this to show you. Okay, so new folder called that. Now, if you look back to, so behavior presets, I'm going to double click here to go in there. This is my tree, file folder tree, if you will, within a project. So there is the Camtasia project file. So if you're on Windows, you won't have a CM proj file. CM would be whether it stands for Camtasia project or Camtasia for Mac project. I believe that's what it's for. On Windows, I think it's a, what is it? TS proj, like TechSmith proj file, I believe. Anyways, and when I used to work with Camtasia on Windows, I wouldn't save that file here. I would always export as a zip file from within Camtasia, and I'd save that here. Okay, that way, because in the zip file, everything is contained within that file, like all the images and recordings and everything that you use to make that project is contained in the zip file. On a Mac, it works a little bit different. You don't have to zip, although you can zip up for Windows if you know you're going to be opening it in Windows. But in Camtasia, this CMPROJ file is actually a folder. and within that are all of the files needed. And you can kind of tell that if you look over here on size, 27 gigabytes is the size of that. So that's everything included. Anyways, back to what I was going to tell you. I would highlight that. I'm going to go Control C or Command C on a Mac to copy it. Now I'm going to go back, go in here, Control V. I just pasted another copy of that video project in this new folder. Okay, now I am going to click it again. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this test video. Enter. Okay, now I will typically right click and open with Camtasia 2020. Notice how 2024 is now my default. I have since, last week I talked about the fact that Camtasia 2023 was my default, so if I double clicked a project file like this, it would try to launch the wrong version, 2023. Anyways, I've sorted that out. 2024 is now my default, but I can just open with and click 2024. It's going to open this new project. I see it's opening it up on my other monitor, so I will drag it down here. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to drag this window over here. It's quite the job to not get confused here, dragging windows. So here we go. This is, let's just go fit here to kind of fix that. So this is the project that I did. Yeah, and that was behavior presets. That's right, yesterday's video. Okay, so here it is. So the next thing I do, so I'm now working on the next project. The next thing I do is I'll highlight all these middle things. So these, just so you know, these tracks, the main 3 tracks, I got my voiceover, the screen recording, and then me, which you can see it kind of went down into the corner there. That's because at that point I'm down in the corner. So I keep all of the intro stuff and I delete from here over. And then if I go down to the end, we can kind of scroll to the end, and right there, that ending I keep. So anyways, what I typically do is I'll just grab what I know I want to delete. I'm holding down my left click button. I'll drag all this, press the backspace or delete key to delete that. Now with the playhead down here, I will zoom in. Okay, let's give myself a little bit more room. Yeah, I'm seeing everything. And let's just find out where the outro really starts, right there. Okay, let's fit this again so you can see it. So this I want to get rid of. Right here, delete. So there's my ending, and like I mentioned earlier, lately I've just been reusing that same ending. There's really no reason to change it. You'll notice that I wear a different shirt in my ending. It's always, regardless of what the intro and the main body is, I'm wearing that shirt in the ending, but that's okay for now. At some point I'll change that up. Let's zoom back out again. So the ending is fine. Let's zoom into the beginning, zoom in like this. Let's identify what, so now there's kind of 2 intros that I have here. So I've got the main intro that like where I zoom in here and I talk about the intro, and then the short little 3-second intro graphic pops up. And now I'm back to this part of the intro is all about talking about the live streams, a bit of an ad for the live streams. I try to keep it quick, but now I see right here at this point, that is the first clip of the last video. I want to delete those. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm left with intro and outro. I am going to change these, but I typically leave them for now. If I zoom out, and that I am going to keep. Okay, so now I'll go ahead, I'll save this. So Control S, save it. Next thing I do is I'm going to write my script for the intro. I will voice myself and record with this camera, the intro, not within Camtasia. I just record it on the camera. And then same with the voice. And so that's the intro. And then I will either bring the intro into Camtasia and build it, right? Or if I'm ready, if it's something relatively simple, I'll just make sure I have some notes, and I'll go ahead and I'll record again, and I'll record myself doing the body of the video, okay? That'll be another camera file. And then when I'm done all that, what I'll do is I will I'll take note of how long the main video was, and let's say, for example, it was a 30-minute video, okay? Or let's say I recorded for 30 minutes. I know I'm going to have to edit it, and typically if I'm editing down a 30-minute video, lately 30 will become, say, 25 minutes or 20 even, depending on how many mistakes I made. But I'm going to start by bringing in the entire thing, so I want to make sure I have at least 30 minutes here, between here and here. And right now, looks like it's around 8 minutes. That's right, because the last video was kind of short. So what I will do, knowing that I want to drop in 30 minutes of video here, I'm going to shorten this down like this until I see 30 up here, right? Now I'm going to hold down Shift, click the playhead, and I'm going to drag that out here past the 35-minute mark, okay? Now I know I have plenty of room to drop in my new stuff. And at this point, Control S, save, I'm ready. So that's my workflow. That's what I've been doing lately. Now, if I make a different kind of video, like I'm working on actually, whether it's a behind the scenes video or whatever, something different, something that's not a tutorial video, how-to video in Camtasia or anything else really, because I can do this same process that I'm describing here for any how-to tutorials if I want to keep the same intro or ending, right? So yeah, that's what I do. And I've just gotten used to doing it that way. I don't need to use templates, but again, templates, it's not, I mean, I can save this as a template right here, and then I would be able to avoid, the zooming in and the deleting and all that I just showed you. But honestly, when I'm not talking about it and I'm just doing it, it doesn't take me that long. So either way can be done. So anyways, that was a bit, that was a long answer to your question. I hope it helped. So yeah, so that's it. So whether you use custom templates or not is totally up to you. I think templates are useful if you have other people that work for you and you want them to make a video a certain way. It'd be good to give them the template for them to have something to start with. And if you know you're going to be creating multiple videos for a different client that are going to have their own custom look, perhaps a template is useful. Or again, you can just kind of copy and paste, delete what you don't want from the other video, and then insert the new stuff. Another way to do it. So whatever works best for you. Dino Rossi says, Rob, I made a small progress with learning how tracks work. I wish you could make an A to Z tutorial making a mock-up YouTube video containing different segments, tracks, audio files, and showing us how to edit it, add titles, and so on for absolute beginners. Yes, okay. I can do that. I guess it's hard to know like what people know and what people don't know. So I think I get a real mix of people out there. You guys, there's a lot of people who have been using Camtasia for a long time and are looking forward to new tips and tricks that they haven't thought about. So, and I think that's what most of my tutorials have been about lately, or this year. Beginner tutorials, I've had a few. I've done a few, but perhaps not enough. I know I did a beginner's timeline basics tutorial. You might, if you haven't seen that, you might want to take a look at that. That might help. And that is just, if I go back here, let's bring up my channel, scroll down. Where is it? I went too far. It's here somewhere. Timeline basics. There's templates right there. There it is right there. This one right here. Timeline basics. It says 1 month ago. I wanted to put my... So this one we talk about, if I go down to the description, so sample project layout, timeline basics, navigating the timeline, track properties and icons. You may want, if you haven't looked at this video yet, you might want to check that one out because it does, it's more of a beginner video on how things work, how to move tracks and things like that. So hopefully that will help you. But I can certainly look at making other more specific videos as well. Oh, I pressed it too soon. There we go. Pamela Powers says Photoshop Elements is a pared down Photoshop. Very good. That's what I thought. I just haven't used it myself. Cortez SA, welcome to the live stream. Thanks for coming back. And that's not English. So I don't know what that says, but perhaps this is the translation right here. Good afternoon, Rob. Once again, here learning more. I'm going to buy a t-shirt in the same color as yours. Very good. This one? Very good. Awesome. I like it. It's fairly new. I had to wear red yesterday because yesterday was Canada Day, and in Canada, we all wear red on Canada Day. Dino Rossi says, I have to go, Rob. I just hope you make more beginners tutorials. I'll do my best, Dino. I'll try to add some more beginners tutorials as well. Heidi Beale, welcome Heidi. Thanks for stopping in. Says, I edited a video today where audio and video became more and more out of sync as the video progressed. I need a shortcut to move a track on the timeline without using the mouse. Do you know any? Well, that's unfortunate that things became out of sync. But there's probably an easy fix, and it's just simply by using clip speed. So you can, if you have audio and video in Camtasia, separate them if they aren't separated already. And what I mean by that is if we come back here, that's probably not a good one to show. Let's bring this one. Let's fix that. So yeah, so as you see here, I've got video and audio on separate tracks. Okay, sometimes they're not. If you record yourself through Camtasia, the audio and the video would be in the same track, but if they are, you can separate them. And all you would do is you would right click here, and there's no option for me here because I didn't do it that way, but there would be an option to separate audio from video and put them on their separate tracks. You can do that. Once you do that, what you're going to do is go to your video. So in this case, let's say this video track was out of sync with this one, with this audio track. So I would go to video, I would right click, I would add clip speed, and I would change it. Okay? So if the video is happening too fast, faster than the audio, then you would make it smaller like this. Okay? Now, let me just move this up so we can actually do this. So let's say it's very subtle, and it doesn't change by very much, but very subtle. What you would do, let me see, what's the best way? So I already put clip speed here. You would highlight it, and you click and drag this, but let's say that is not detailed enough. You can simply just zoom way in, like way in, and then you can make very subtle, like frame by frame. Let's say it's out by 2 frames only. You just move this a couple frames like that, okay? And do that until it's synced up again. So perhaps that helps. I'm not sure why they're out of sync for you though. That's kind of a strange problem to have, but not. If you're having that issue, that would be one way to fix it for sure. So let me back this up. There, back up again. There. Okay. Let me see now. How are we doing? Okay, we'll go back here. And today I managed to get the subtitles working on Windows. Finally. Awesome. Awesome. Way to go. Sorry you were having troubles, but glad you got it worked out. Jonathan says, thank you for sharing your workflow. That addressed my question. For super organized people, perhaps one could just have all evolving elements in the library combined with a template skeleton. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, everything, and I should probably take more advantage of using the library. I don't very much, again, because, you know, as my workflow evolves, I'm going to start creating more text lower thirds perhaps, or titles or whatever, and just to get the same look all the time. Right now, what I'll do is I'll open up an older program or an older Camtasia project file, copy it, and then paste it into the new one. Excuse me, that's an option for me because I use a Mac. With Windows, you can't have two Camtasia projects open at the same time. So it's a little more of a pain to do in Windows, but you can do that with a Mac. Which one of the things I love about Camtasia for Mac is that you can do that. Okay, I think I am caught up. So, okay, if we move on, all caught up with the Q&A. So let me just take another quick look at the poll. We have, 16 votes. 69% of you would like behind the scenes how I work. Very good, awesome. And then how to be successful on YouTube, 19%. How to live stream, 12%. So, and freelancer, nobody's interested in that. That's fine. So very good. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to leave it go for now, see if it changes over time. So next, let's talk about the latest videos. So last Thursday, I did a animations and behaviors video. And if I'm going to close that, save it. Let me pull this up here. Animations and behaviors, I believe, was a bit of a longer video. Yeah, it was 20 gigabytes of info. Here we go. Give myself some room, refit that. So yeah, this one was 25 or so minutes, and yeah, talked about, so bottom line is behaviors are animations. Okay, there's been some confusion over behaviors because they were added, I'm going to say 2 versions ago, like maybe 2022 version, maybe it was even before that, I'm not even sure, when behaviors were added. I used to use animations for everything, and I still use them for a lot of things. Like if you look at this video here, if I zoom into the very beginning, there we go. Right off the bat in the beginning, I've got this animation. That's not a behavior, it's an animation. I could have used a behavior for this. And all it is, let's just play it. In this video, I'm going to... Okay, it's just a zoom. It's a zoom, and if I right click it, I've got some exponential in-out easing. And it zooms in, it zooms from, if I put the playhead, if I can, at the beginning. So my scale is 100%, and if I click over here, the scale is 133%. So that's the same for all my videos. That's what I do. And when I talked about my workflow, when I open up a previous project and save it, that before, like, I don't delete that. In fact, it's not a big deal, but like when I zoom in here, it's not just the scale always that I change. Okay, because if you look over here, so the scale, and then I've got the position, X, Y, and Z are all at 0. But as I move this over to the end, okay, my X and Z axis stay at 0, but Y is minus 217. So I also moved it down 217.9 pixels. If I zoom out, you can see that. You can see that it moved down. It didn't just zoom in straight. And the reason that is, and here's a tip for you, so write this down or try to remember this. And I'm going to make a video on this. Basically, it's a design thing. It's something to keep in mind when you're editing a video. And you know, they say you want to keep people engaged when you're making a video, and things like zooming in or punching out or whatever, doing all these movements is one way, A, to keep people interested, or B, to hide cuts that you may have had to make because you made a mistake. Okay, so keep that in mind. But the tip that I want to share with you is that when you're zooming in on a person's face, like I am here, you want to keep their eyes in roughly the same place from when the zoom starts to when the zoom ends. Okay, and the reason that is typically if somebody's watching this is called a talking head video, this part of it anyways, when someone's watching a talking head video, you're typically making eye contact with the person in the video. And if there's a zoom in, you kind of want those eyes to stay in roughly the same place. It would look weird, for instance, if this zoom in, let me just move this back up so that the Y is 0. And now if we watch that zoom in this video, it kind of looks like my eyes are moving up with the zoom, right? Same thing if the zoom, you know, went over like this. So the X and the Y changes. In this video, I'm going to... See, kind of weird. I mean, you may want to do that if you then also want to show something on the left-hand side here, you know, and want to zoom to leave space to put some text, for example. But if you're not doing any of that, try to keep the eyes in roughly the same place. The eyes of the person who's speaking in the video. Okay, so that's a tip from me that I learned somewhere along the way watching YouTube videos and how to make YouTube videos. So there you go. Now, where was I? So yeah, animations, behaviors. I was just showing you. So that is an animation. If we come to here, and I'm going to get to this a little more interesting. What do you guys think of that little intro in that video? Let me just play it right here. So this was from last Thursday's video. Spent a little more time on the intro because it was about animations and behaviors, so I thought I better use animation and behaviors in the intro so you can see what I'm doing. So let me just play the 30-second, or not even that, it's like 15-second intro. In this video, I'm going to compare animations and behaviors in Camtasia, explain when you should use one over the other, and demonstrate how you can use them both together to create some truly awesome animation effects. And be sure to stick around until the end to learn yet another way to animate in Camtasia without using animations or behaviors. Let's get into it. Okay, so kind of fun, something a little bit different. And if I just kind of give myself a little bit more room here so we can see everything. So animations and behaviors can be applied to both objects like callouts, text, images, right? And also videos. You can apply them to videos as well. Like here, I used that animation in that video. Up here, this is the text animation. And if I solo it, hold down the Alt key or Option on a Mac, and then click on this hide track, the eyeball here for track 4. If you're holding down the Option key when you click this, it solos it. It hides everything else. Okay? So now we are only going to see that. So if we just play that through. Okay? You can see everything that I did to it. So overall, the first thing, so I applied a behavior, and you can see that if you expand the arrow here, and it's this sliding behavior, right? If I highlight that, we can come over to the properties, and we can see, okay, it's a sliding behavior. There's an in property, sliding, with a bounce movement, direction top. So that's from the top, the in, okay? And then if you look at this, see it comes from the top and it bounces, okay? And now ignore these two animations, and we'll go like in the middle here, click on during, there's a little wiggle behavior, and I set the frequency and the X and Y offset and all that, and that's what makes it kind of move around like this. And then at the end, it kind of slides to the top, and we can click on out and see what I did, sliding the whole object, and the movement is ease in, and the direction is to the top. So in this one, I didn't use the bounce. I bounced in, but just eased in. The movement was ease in on the way out. Now, the middle was wiggle, but if I also wanted it to zoom in while it wiggles, well, then that's where you combine behaviors with animations, okay? Or add an animation to this object that already has a behavior, is basically what I did. So So now we come back to it. You'll see I've got two animations on this as well. And the first one is there. It just kind of goes over to the left, and then you got the slow zoom. And the reason it went over to the left is, let's hold the Option key again and click this, is because this other one I had it kind of bump into it, right? So the behaviors, this one here slid onto the screen, bumped into animations, and pushed it over to the left. All right, and then it slowly zoomed. Meanwhile, the behaviors itself, I had it slowly zoom as well, along with the animations text. You see how they both kind of grow? But additionally, if I highlight behaviors and come up again to the behaviors, this is starting to be confusing. If I highlight the text that's behaviors, and then go ahead and look at the behaviors, the behavior properties, the it was sliding to the right so that it came in from the right and bumped into animations. I used the movement spring, and I played around with this just to see what looked the best, what made the most sense. In my mind, I wanted it to bump into animations, push it out of the way, and then it would also kind of spring as well. And then during, it had that wiggle, again, like the other one did. And out, I had it slide out the top, again, just like the other one. Okay? And since you can see here that this behaviors text, it ends after the animations text, that's because I wanted the animations text to slide out before the behaviors. It gives it a little bit more dynamicness. Is that a word? A little more animation. So instead of having them both animate out at the same time, I just kind of delayed one. Okay? And it's very easy to change. Like if I wanted this behaviors to slide out faster, I can drag this back like this. Right? That looks pretty good too.
Them both together to create some...
Okay, or Control Z where I had it.
Together to create some true...
All right, and then of course I had the sound effects here for the whoosh sounds for sliding out. So yeah, so you can use animations on their own, or you can use behaviors on their own, or you can combine them to get some really cool effects. So those were combined. And then over here, I had these question marks, and they just kind of popped onto the screen. That's why I used this pop sound effects. And then I had them fade out. So with these, we do the up arrow here. I did have a wiggle property, but it was very subtle. And I had them all pop on at different times, slightly. You see that? It's staggered here. You can see it better if I zoomed in more. Let's just play that.
Way to animate in Camtasia without using...
Can you tell that they're wiggling? If I drag it back and forth fast, you can see the arrows, not arrows, the question marks wiggling. And then instead of using the out behavior, so if we go to the call out and go to out, I have it set to none, but it did fade out. I could have selected style, fade out, but I didn't. Instead, I just dropped a fade out transition on it. So it's just another way to do it. Two different ways I could have done that. All right, so that's just a quick look at how I did that intro and how you can combine animations and behaviors or use them separately. And that whole video kind of talks about that and how to use them. That was last Thursday's video, and it took me a little longer than I wanted to. Like usually I come out with a video on Wednesday. In this case, it didn't. It was Thursday. And therefore I did not come out with one Friday. I came out with one Monday instead. So that is that. And I think I had a couple other questions. Where are we here? Okay, Heidi says clip speed didn't work. I did 1 hour manually. I'm an IT instructor, and it was a customer's video. Belay? Yeah, so I'm still not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I guess I pronounced it correct. So Belay, I think that's how I said it. And you're Danish, very good. Very good. So yeah, that's unfortunate. You had to do it manually because that's kind of a pain. And that's strange that I wonder why that would have been out of sync. I guess it's a function of how they recorded it. But yeah, that's kind of strange. Yeah, you don't see that very often. I have seen it before, and I honestly can't remember how I fixed it. I thought clip speed would be the first thing I'd try, anyways. But yeah, okay. And then Tech for Seniors says, question: do you recommend making videos in 30 or 60 frames per second? I have some thoughts on that. Just 1 second. Just have to. It's warm in here. It's I think today's high is 27, which is Celsius here in Canada. It's quite warm for it, and very muggy here, Maritime province. So 30 frames versus 60 frames per second. So there's also a case for 24. 30 frames per second is pretty typical for what you watch if you're watching a video on a regular monitor. 60 frames per second would be smoother looking, but the person's monitor who's watching that has to have a monitor capable of displaying 60 frames. Now, if I think about this, though, and that's pretty standard that you could. You want to keep in mind, if it's not that important to you, the file size, if the file size isn't that important to you, then you could go 60 frames per second. Keep in mind that a video file, like once you render the file and you have your MP4 video file, if rendered in 60 frames per second, it'll be twice as large as 30 frames per second. There's twice as many frames in a second, right? It does give you smoother animations. So that's what I like. When I make a tutorial video, I will typically use 60 frames per second, just because, like, in my tutorial videos, I'll do a lot of zooming in or zooms and pans and things like that, and they're just smoother over 60 frames per second than they are 30 frames per second. Okay, so keep that in mind. If that's not super important to you, then and file size and storage is more important, then just go with 30. That's kind of standard. I mentioned 24 frames. That is typically used when making films or like movies or something that you want to look cinematic in the video. So there's lots of YouTube videos that are filmed in 24 frames per second. And when I say 24, it's actually 20. So correct me if I'm wrong. I am not an expert on this, but if you're in Europe, or basically I think if you're anywhere other than North America, then you would typically see 25 frames per second as your standard, or even 50 frames per second, not 60, for the high frame rate, I believe. I think that's the case in Australia and in Europe. And I don't know why, if that's more to do with the way your TVs evolved and how they're typically set up to show things. I'm not sure. But so I think of 30 as being kind of a standard for YouTube videos, especially for tutorial videos. 60 if you want your animations to be more smooth. But if you're making something that's a little more cinematic, then you could use 24 or 25 or even 30, really. You can. But something else to keep... Oh, sorry, just to finish that thought. The reason 24 or 25 is kind of standard for cinematic has to do with like shutter speeds and what looks the most natural. So, for instance, if you have a camera or a video camera that is capable of recording where you can modify the frame rate from 24, 25, 30, 60, even 120 frames per second, then the test you can do, and I'm trying to think, I don't want to mess this up. The test you can do is kind of do this in front of your face, and if you see naturally occurring blur, like natural motion blur, that's what your eye typically sees in real life, not filming through a camera, but just by looking at somebody doing that. You will see some motion blur, okay? 24 or 24 frames per second gives a little bit more of that motion blur than, say, 30 or certainly 60 frames per second would give you. That'll give you less motion blur because it's grabbing more frames. It also gives you a better chance at, like if you wanted to take a still image from a video that was shot at a higher frame rate, like 60 frames per second, there's a better chance that you'll get a clear picture out of that. Whereas if you stop a video that was shot in 24 frames per second and there was movement going on, it's likely going to be blurry and it's not going to give you a very good image if you're trying to extract an image from a video like that. Okay, so those are kind of some things to think about when deciding on that. One other thing I wanted to mention is if you're making a video and you want to include slow motion or B-roll that is slower motion, then if possible, you want to shoot, what's the best way to describe it? So I've made some videos where the main frame rate is 24 or 30, okay? And if you look back to, well, it doesn't even matter, 24 or 30 frames per second as the main video. If I then want to add B-roll, like let's say I want to show B-roll of me at my desk or of the office, if I want to zoom in on some things on my desk, right? And I don't want to shake the camera, I mean, you can get a slider, you can get like hardware equipment that keeps your hand steadier when you're filming that. But a better idea would be to film that in a higher frame rate and then slow it down. Okay, so for example, if your main video is in 30 frames per second, then film B-roll in 60 frames per second, okay? And then as you bring that in, like I can bring a 60 frame per second video into Camtasia. I can slow it down to half speed, okay? Then it would be 30 frames per second. Does that make sense? So in other words, if I film 10 seconds of B-roll at 60 frames per second, okay, then if I slowed it down to half the speed, then it would be 30 frames per second over 20 seconds. Okay, that will increase the chances. Any handshake that I had filming at 30 frames will be lessened by the fact that the video is running at half the speed. Okay, so, and again, you can film in 120 frames per second. Some phones will allow you to do that, or some cameras. And then if you slow that all the way down to 30 frames per second, then what's 120 divided by 30 is 4. So that'd be 4 times slower. So 5 seconds would become 20 seconds, right? And it'd be super slow motion, but smoother because, it will have eliminated any camera shake that you did with your hands. Okay? I'm not sure I'm making sense with that. Let me know. That might be a good topic for another video that I can put a little more thought into the best way to present that. But yeah, oftentimes if you do see B-roll and it's nice and smooth and slow motion, it's probably because it was shot at a higher frame rate and then slowed down so that the frame rate matches what the rest of the video is. Okay? If you shoot something at if you shoot B-roll at 30 frames per second and that's what your main video is going to be, and if you then slowed that down to like say half the speed, then it would only be 15 frames per second and you're going to see it be choppy. It's not going to be smooth slow motion, it's going to be choppy slow motion. Okay, so that's why you want to film in the higher frame rate if you want to slow it down for slow motion. So I hope that helped answer your question. I'll check the chat here. Just let me know if you want me to explain that in a different way or if I missed exactly what you were looking for. And Cortez says, I imagine a Camtasia beginner seeing this bunch of cut frames on his desktop giving up immediately. Yeah, you can get pretty complicated with Camtasia if you want to. Yeah, so if somebody is a beginner and they see some of the crazy things that I do with animations and stuff, like my screen, like this. Somebody who's a beginner and they see this, they're like, oh my God, how long did it take you to make all of that? That might take a long time. But if you just do it piece by piece, it kind of makes it a little bit easier. Okay, oh, here we go. So my EV Adventures says the difference between 25 and 30 is due to the frequency of the main power using 30 frames in a region with 50 hertz. Main power, there will be artifacts from the lights used to light the scene. Okay, awesome. That sounds like it makes sense. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I don't know exactly. But yeah, I think that, like you said, so it has something. So hertz, 50 hertz is, I've always thought of it as another way to say 50 frames per second. But hertz, I believe, is a per second measure. And yeah, different parts of the world use 50 hertz versus different parts of the world use 60 hertz. But yeah, I don't think the naked eye would typically see much difference between 25 and 30 frames, unless, like you say, a 25 frame video is watched on something that only handles 30. Then you could probably see something. So yeah, there will be artifacts from the lights used to light the scenes. Okay, so I guess a good reason why you want to stick with, I guess you'd want to make the videos in whatever standard people typically watch them in, where you're from. I guess it depends what you're watching it on. Most monitors today can handle up to 60 hertz or 60 frames per second, I believe. It's probably only the older ones that don't. Not many. It's only the more expensive ones that'll go beyond that, like 120 frames. Like if you're a gamer, I know that 120 frames per second is desirable because it makes things a lot smoother, and especially for the first person shooter type games where you're moving around and the whole scene is moving around. Since that's fast motion, the higher frames per second you can get your monitor showing that sort of thing, the smoother it will look, or the more natural it will look, if that makes sense. So yeah, we got really technical today. Holy cow. But thank you, My EV Adventures, for explaining that. That helps. But as far as making tutorial videos goes, yeah, I've gotten in the habit of making them at 60 frames just because it makes the animations smoother. Okay, and if you're getting into beyond that into just videos, then yes, you'd want to start thinking about slow motion if you're going to add B-roll and that sort of thing. So very good. Cool. Let me take another drink and then we will move on. How are we doing for time? We are an hour and 15 minutes in, and think we're doing good. Next on the list is right here, behavior presets. Don't have to spend too much time on this, but that's what yesterday's video was about. Fairly simple, but some of you may not have known about it, like where to find it. Just quickly open this here, and it's not just with behaviors. So you can create presets with a lot of different things in Camtasia, and it's just another way to help speed things up or just help you in your creation of videos. If I share the screen here, so this is yesterday's video again, and so if I just look at this video, if I go back to something where I had a behavior, so like this one, for instance, this logo, which is in all of my videos, all of my latest videos, my videos that for the last few months, I have a sliding behavior applied to this, and it bounces in from the bottom. The movement is spring. I've got my tension set, and there's no out style, it just disappears. And during, I have that wiggle again, and I like that one. That's the way I've been able to kind of replicate floating if you will, in my mind. That's I use the wiggle behavior to do that. So I have not done this, but if I wanted to easily apply those same set of effects, you know, the in, the during, and the out, if I wanted to basically package all those up and save it, then you do that by saving it as a preset, and you do that right here by clicking this plus here. Okay, that'll pop up and you can give it a name and then save it. I'm not going to do that here, but if you go over here to behaviors, you can see this one is the one that I created in this video, AAA floating. Okay, so these are all behavior presets. And when they added a tremble preset and a wiggle preset in Camtasia 2024, they weren't really new. They were new presets, but even in Camtasia 2023, those were, like tremble and wiggle, were available behaviors within any of the other presets. So all you would have to do was go up here to the during, and it was here. Tremble and wiggle were always here. Okay, so like I've now created one called floating. It doesn't show up here, but it does show up here. AAA floating. And again, for those who haven't watched that video, the reason I have AAA, like AAA, in front of that is because all behaviors here are shown alphabetically, and if I want the ones that I create to show up at the top, then I'll put an A in front of them. So just AAA, or I could just put a single A if I wanted to, and I also capitalized floating. All these ones here are not capitalized, so I just wanted mine to stand out a little bit more. Yeah, so that was yesterday's video. It was pretty simple, and hopefully you found that helpful. But as I mentioned, sorry, I'll go back here. As I mentioned, there are lots of ways where you can create presets. If I go to, I'm trying to think now, like, so this video here, let's say I brought down visual effects, color adjustment, okay, let's say I changed the brightness to whatever, something different, the contrast, saturation, whatever I wanted to save this as. Once again, you see a plus here, color adjustment. I can save that. Add a visual effect preset. So let's just go AAA test. Okay. And now that is in the visual effects tab right here, AAA test. So it doesn't make a lot of sense what I called it. So if you ever do create presets like that, you'd want to identify, you know, title it appropriately so you know what it is when you go to drag it down. Yeah, so that's how you do that. And if you want to delete these, just right click. You can either rename it, restore default effects, add it to your favorites, or you can do that by clicking the star here. But I'm just going to click delete, and it's gone. It's gone quickly. It doesn't even give you a chance to change your mind, so keep that in mind too. Now I'm going to delete all the color adjustment just by highlighting that and hitting the X over here, and we're back to where we were. Take a drink. Okay, now trailer video in 15 minutes. Everybody doing all right? If there's anything else you'd like me to cover that I haven't gotten to yet, some of these at the bottom we'll go through relatively quickly. But the next thing I have written down is trailer video in 15 minutes. So I don't know how many of you see the trailer video for my live streams. I'd be interested to know, actually, how many of you see them. But what I typically do, I do a live stream like this every Tuesday. It's always at the same time. But in advance of that, what I do to prepare for that, or let YouTube know, is anywhere from 1 to 3 days before Tuesday, I will set up the live stream in YouTube Studio, and Then when you go to my, if you go to my homepage or my channel homepage in YouTube, you would see that there's an upcoming live stream, and it'll say, you know, it might be 2 days from now or 4 hours from now or whatever. And you'd be able to click on that, and you'd actually be able to start commenting in the live chat at that point if you want. But then what I do is usually around 10 o'clock my time on Tuesday mornings, so that's 4 hours before the live stream, I will add a trailer to the live stream. And when I do that, whenever you click to see the live stream, even though I'm not live yet, it'll play a trailer video first. And that's just, so what I do with those trailer videos is I basically just say, you know, I'm still working on things. I'll be with you in a few hours. This is what we're going to talk about today. Blah, blah, blah. If you want to be notified when we go live, click the notify me button. Blah, blah, blah. That's what I do. So yeah, let me know if you find that useful or not. But it doesn't take me very long to make those. And that was kind of the whole point of what I wanted to show you here. So let me just switch screens. This is the trailer video. Okay? So very simple. Sometimes I have background music, sometimes I don't. In this case I do, and I've got it set at a very low number. I think it's 10% or so. That'd be helpful. If I click on it, if I start to move it, it'll show. Yeah, 10 or 12. And then my voiceover track and my video track. Okay? And the only thing I've done differently on the video track is I've got a color adjustment. Same one I typically do. Actually, I dialed down the saturation a little bit because whenever I wear red, it seems to really be bright. So I dialed that down a bit. I had been going 25, which would have been way up there. So plus 10 seemed to look better this time. And again, you can see, you can toggle off back and forth like this to see the difference between, you know, no color adjustment and with color adjustment. Okay, so anyway. But yeah, what I do is I make a script first, and if I go to live stream trailer right here, so there's my script, live stream trailer number 34, July 2nd, the date, and there's the script. So I will either modify that from the week before, and then maybe change a couple things from week to week. That takes me just a couple minutes. Then I will get my phone right here, and I will put, I use the app Prompt Smart to import that script from my Google Drive, and I put that up here on the camera teleprompter, and I will record myself the trailer. I'll record myself. So then I bring it into, so I record on the camera, and I record on Adobe Audition, the audio, and then I bring them both into Camtasia here, and then I edit them. And in this case, I only made a few cuts. And just so you know, what I wanted to do was actually kind of go through the process. It won't take very long. And what I would do, let me just delete this, and you will see how long it was. So that's how long the recording was. And you can see the audio recording is longer than the video recording, only because, you know, I hit stop on the video recorder before I hit stop on the audio recorder. Okay, so let's just take a quick run through this, and I'll show you how quickly I can make this.
Join me today at 1 p.m. Eastern from...
Actually, I'll show you one other thing. Let me just highlight those and move them this way, because I also made an edit on this side. So there you go. So that's, and let me hide the music track for now. So same thing I mentioned as before. I started by copying live 33, last week's live stream, and pasting. And the only reason is because I already had the music track in there, and I wanted to keep it for this one as well. So yeah, so here's my process. You'll see the whole thing.
Test, test, test.
Me getting ready.
Hello, join me today at 1 p.m. Eastern for my weekly live stream that's all about helping you with Camtasia, video editing for YouTube, and live streaming. I share editing and recording tips on everything from getting the best. I share editing and recording tips on everything from getting the best screen recordings to leveling up your audio and video, and I do so by demonstrating while sharing my screen and answering questions from you live. I'll be answering some questions I received throughout the week as well, and I'll also be diving deeper into the YouTube videos I posted since last week and giving a sneak peek at the new videos I'll be uploading over the next few days. Click the Notify Me button to be notified when the live stream begins, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, so a couple things there. You notice how I right there, I think a couple times I had to you saw my hand go up to the teleprompter like that. What I'm doing is the Prompt Smart app, what it does is it uses the phone's microphone, and as I'm reading and speaking, in the app, the script is advancing. Like it hears that I'm speaking and it knows that I've said something, so it keeps scrolling up automatically as I speak. So that's something I love about the Prompt Smart app. And it's available on iOS. I think you can get it for Google as well, or Samsung as well, whatever phone you use. So yeah, I love that. So, but if I've made a mistake a couple times, it may have gone too far. So what I have to do is I have to go back up to my phone screen and scroll back up a little bit. So that's why my hand is going up like that. And so yeah, you can see all of the mistakes that I made. That's a relatively short video, and I think it took me a minute to record that. It ended up being, what, a 30-second video or something because of the mistakes I made. But yeah, definitely worthwhile to just record everything in one take like that, and then in editing, you can delete out the mistakes. Okay, so let me, so this process for the live stream trailers is very similar to what I do when I record my intros for my videos. Okay. Oh, and I just noticed Jonathan Johnson says, since it's relevant here, I have found SpeakFlow to be nice for teleprompter and voice tracking. Okay, very good. I've not used SpeakFlow, but yeah, I guess I'd be surprised if PromptSmart was the only one that did that. So yeah, very handy. Another way people will use teleprompters is with a remote in their hand, but I don't know. To me, that's just something else I have to think about, and so I didn't like that. I think a remote came with this teleprompter of mine, but again, it's something else you have to think about while you're talking, so I didn't do that. If you're famous and let's say you're in politics or whatever, and you're giving a speech, there are typically teleprompters set up for you, usually on both sides. So if you're looking this way, you can see it. If you're looking this way, you can see it. You ever see people give a big speech and you see those angled pieces of glass? You can't see the text that's on them, but they can. So that's what that is. And the reason they have two of them is because they want to be able to look back and forth. It gives you the impression that they're actually looking at everybody in the audience, but they're not looking at you at all. They're looking at the teleprompter. Now, if you're a really good speaker, maybe you only need to refer to your teleprompter every once in a while to keep yourself on topic. That's quite the skill, I think. I don't have that skill. So what I do is I read word for word when I do a script. Now, right now, I am not reading from a teleprompter. I'm winging this. This is me talking. But when I make a video that's going to be on YouTube, and I know I have to be careful of like retention, and I can't say and ah a lot. So for those videos, I edit them heavily, and I try to take out all of those things, right? So that the video keeps flowing fast, and I keep people's attention for as long as possible. that's just something you need to do for YouTube videos if you want to keep people around, you want to grow your channel. Having said that, there is a case to be made for video, especially today. This is kind of a trend for videos being more authentic. People just being themselves in the camera, like I am right now. And I've thought about, haven't done it yet, but, well, I have done it before, but that was over a year ago. And I would do it differently now. But if I were to if I had a thought in my head that I just want to talk about, I just want to be real, like person to person, or come across that way, I'd like to make some more videos like that I do not edit heavily. Like maybe I will, like from thought to thought, if I have 3 main thoughts I'm going to be sharing, well then maybe there's 3 cuts, right? And I just keep those, but for the most part, keep everything the same, a little more authentic. I'd like to do that, I guess, A, to see if those types of videos resonate with you guys, but also B, just to improve my skill set in recording myself, okay? I know, well, right there, for example, I know I say okay a lot in my videos. I cut a lot of them out in my tutorial videos that I make, but I do leave some in. And I would just like to get better at not using filler words as much, like okay, so, you know, things like that. So the only way to get better at those things, I think, is to practice. That's what I've read. That's what I've seen, heard in YouTube videos. So I just think I need to make more videos like that just to try to get better at making them. So anyways, I think that's a tangent I went down. I didn't want necessarily plan to go down that channel, but anyways, you know what I mean. I've got a couple more comments here I'm just going to pop up. Oh, that one came up small. I don't know why, but here we go. Learn ukulele, the Tiki Nation awesome ukulele or uke channel. Welcome. Thanks for stopping in and thanks for your question. Says, can you explain the difference between saving to library using Canvas and visible settings? My saved lower thirds never pull to the same position from the saved library items. Thanks, Kev. Yeah, So I haven't done a lot of that, so I can't say for sure the best way to do. If I'm understanding your question correctly, you would like to be able to drop your lower third in the exact same place on your canvas every time. I'm thinking the best way to do that, and I'm also hearing that they aren't being dropped in the same place every time, and you'd like to know how to do that. I don't really know. I don't have enough experience doing that to know, but I think it would be good to know, so I'm going to make a note of that. And research that a bit and let you know. So library, saved lower thirds, drop same place in Canvas. Just kind of thinking out loud, so you might be able to take advantage of the canvas snapping for something like that. If your lower third, I mean, you could force it to include something that's not really there, if that makes sense. Like use the grouping tool to group an object that's maybe right at the very bottom of your canvas, and if you grouped that with what you do want to save, right? If that forces the bottom line of your saved template or library asset to match up with the bottom of the canvas, then maybe that's what you can do. But then go in before you group it and change the color to match whatever the background color is, or you know what I mean? If that might be able, and then when you drop it in, you can kind of snap it to the bottom corner, if that makes sense. That's just me thinking out loud. I haven't tried it. That's probably one of the first things I would try if that was something I was trying to do. So hopefully that helps, but I will look into that more and either make a video about it or we'll talk about it again next week. So hopefully that helps. Let me just quickly go back to this scene while I'm answering some questions here. Jolene says, when I make a mistake, rather than start the part over again, I say, oops, and then start over again. This way, I don't accidentally miss a correction during edit. That's good advice. Give yourself a visual cue or audible cue, whatever. Sometimes what I do is, so yeah, you say oops. That's perfect. And if that's, and that probably looks the same way to you in the audio, in the visual part of the audio track in Camtasia. You can see when you say oops, right? Some people will clap 2 or 3 times, like 3 quick claps like that might be their cue to know that they want to start over. What I do sometimes, so I've done as so many of these trailers and intros, and they're fairly short that I don't typically have to do that. I may just stop and start it again. But if I'm recording a longer section and I mess up on the intro part of it, I might just say, like, instead of just repeating the last sentence, if I know I want to start over, I'll just say, start over. And then I start over. And I know that when I see, and I'll remember where I said that roughly. And I know that that's cue for starting over. But oops, that's a good idea as well. It's kind of whatever works for you, but if you can give yourself a cue like that, that helps. Cortez says, thanks to your videos, every day I learn more. I created a channel of prank cuts from different places around the world, so I practice more. Awesome, that's cool. Glad it can help. And we have a super chat. Thank you very much, William J. May, Real Estate, for the super chat. Much appreciated. And your question is, can you provide a tutorial or a video on how to do like a family slideshow of photos? Thank you and great videos. No problem. And yeah, I believe you mentioned this in a comment in one of my videos too this week. So absolutely. And if I recall, I think it was just this morning that I saw that actually. And I think you mentioned Photoshop, but you must have meant just photos. So yeah, I can't really give a tutorial on Photoshop because A, I don't have it, and B, I'm not very good in it. But absolutely, the slideshow of photos, I will make a video on that. And I haven't. If you go way back, like 3 years ago, if you go to the bottom of my channel, my videos, I think I did make one that talked about the Ken Burns effect. And for those, so you could look at that, but it's time for me to provide an updated one, obviously. That would have been Camtasia 2020, I think, that I used for that. But some of the things are the same. So I do like using the Ken Burns effect. If I am making a photo slideshow, like if I'm showing photos, like one after the other, I don't just show the photos. I'll have it zooming in or zooming out, or like a slow zoom, maybe a slow zoom into a corner of the image or out from a corner of the image, things like that. That's called the Ken Burns effect. I'm not sure why. I should look at that. But let me make a note, and I will make a video on that very soon, perhaps this week. Video slideshow. And William J. Perfect. Yes, I do. And thank you again for the super chat. That was much appreciated, as always. And Luke, learn ukulele, the Tiki Nation. Thanks. Okay. Sorry. Most. That's a long title. I thought part of that was your question. Jonathan Johnson says, add track with guides. Suggestion, add track with guides. Make track visible when aligning. The guides as a grid with scene division into thirds, horizontal, and vertical zones. Add track with guides. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. So yeah, you're talking about, you're answering the question that, who was it that, about the library and the small lower thirds. Yeah, so if you add, that's a great suggestion. If you add another track as part of your library asset, as part of the asset that you save to the library, include a track that has guides where you want them. So great suggestion, Jonathan. I'm going to write that down. You may see a video on that too, and it'll be thanks to you. Guides, track. So that's what I love about this. So like, again, I didn't say it yet today, but I usually say it every week. I don't consider myself an expert in Camtasia. I'm here to learn as well. I'm here to teach you everything I know and answer as many questions as you guys have as I can. But I don't know all the answers. And when I don't know the answers, it's awesome when some of you guys out in the audience can answer them for me and for the people that ask them. That is awesome. That's all. We're building a community here, so that's great. Help each other out. Thank you, Jonathan. That was awesome. Learn Ukulele says that was cool. Tutorial on the tugboat. I actually made that that in Camtasia, and I think last week's. I'm not going to show it this week because I check out the live stream video from last Tuesday because I actually went through how I made it, and I used behaviors. Excuse me. I used behaviors on the tugboat, and I used Canva as well. So there you go. And William J. May says just a photo slideshow in Camtasia will be fine. Perfect. Photo slides. So yeah, don't necessarily need the Ken Burns. Sorry, I had a mental block there. Ken Burns effect. So photo slideshow in Camtasia. Absolutely. I'll show you how to do that in a future video. Perfect. Okay, so let me go right back to this. Share my screen here. And I'm about to get a little bit quiet, but I'll talk through this as much as I can. But I want you guys to see how I edited this. So again, from start to finish, it took me 15 minutes to make that trailer and upload it, write the script, edit it, upload it, and attach it to my live stream. 15 minutes is all it takes. So part of that is because I copy and paste the script, so I'm not starting from scratch every time. I have an idea what I want to say. So I've already done the script. I've already done the recording. I've already synced it up with like the video with the audio. You can see they're a little bit off here. And if I right click here and restore audio, you can see that the audio and video are synced. If I zoom way in, this is how I sync the audio. Okay, let's listen.
Hello, join me today.
You can see it's a bit, it's a little bit echoey because it's not perfect, but I mean, the audio and the video, when I bring them in, they are not lined up at all. They're two different files, and they both start there. It's not lined up at all.
Hello, join me today.
Okay, so that is the first thing I do. I will get it close. You know, that's right. And it's because, so this here is my video, and it has audio in it. Okay, so my camera also records audio. This is only audio, and that was recorded in my computer using Adobe Audition. You can also use Audacity or another audio recording software in your computer just to capture it directly into your computer. So either way, whatever microphone, so my camera would use the inbuilt camera, my camera would use the inbuilt microphone in the camera to record the audio, so it won't sound as good. And if I just hide this one, you can tell what it sounds like, just the camera audio.
Hello, join me today at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, whereas if we hide that and play just this audio.
Hello, join me today at 1 p.m.
Hopefully you notice that that sounds better because I did some processing to it, and I'm getting closer to making a video and doing a live stream on how to process your audio. That's something that's coming up very soon. Okay, so that's why I then want to sync these. So I zoom in, I get them close, and I'll play it.
Hello, join me. Hello.
Once I'm close, I will right-click this top one and silence the audio. So I only have one audio track.
Hello, join me today at 1 p.m.
And sometimes I will tweak it a little bit if I feel I have to.
Hello, join me today at 1 p.m.
I'm reading my lips and making sure the audio matches up with the video. Okay, so that looks good. So now let's just go ahead and edit it. So now I will highlight both of these, S to split, we'll delete, and I'll just check the beginning, see if it starts okay.
Hello, join me today.
It does. So I'm going to leave it right here. I was going to drag it back to the beginning, but because of the way I edit, I don't want this audio track the music track in the way. So let's just keep on going.
Hello, join me today at 1 p.m. Eastern for my weekly live stream that's all about helping you with Camtasia, video editing for YouTube, and live streaming.
I will highlight and split.
I share editing and recording.
So I know those are all mistakes. Let's take a chance that that was the last one and that it was successful. It might not have been. I will hold down Shift and click and drag the playhead back.
And live streaming. I share editing and recording tips on everything from getting the best screen recordings to leveling up your audio and video, and I do so by video, and I
Okay, so I want to cut it here and here. Shift, drag back. Just play that again. I don't know, I might want to cut out this little space here. Let's just see what it sounds. I have a space here too that I didn't cut out.
Streaming. I share editing and recording tips on everything from getting the best screen recordings to leveling up your audio and video, and I do so by demonstrating while sharing my screen and answering questions from you live.
Okay, that all sounds good. I think I do want to cut this little section out here. Again, it's something that it's like a little tug of war with myself. Like, do I leave that in and it's a little more authentic if I'm not exactly perfect? Or do I cut it out and, I mean, it's going to be obvious that there's a little cut there. But for the most part, I do cut them out right now. And my video editing style may change in time, as everyone's probably does. Let's see what that looks like.
The best screen recordings to leveling up your audio and video, and I do so by demonstrating while sharing my screen and answering questions from you live. I'll be answering some and giving
Okay, so this is good. Again, I remember what the script is. That's why I'm able to do this a little bit quicker.
Live. I'll be answering some questions I received throughout.
I think that was too much of a pause.
From you live. I'll be answering.
Yeah, I didn't like the way that. So I think I want to cut some more off of this. Delete.
You live. I'll be answering some questions I received throughout the week as well, and I'll also be diving deeper into the YouTube videos I posted since last week and giving a sneak peek at the new videos I'll be uploading.
Okay, so that's probably good. So I want to cut here somewhere.
Videos I posted since last week. And giving a sneak peek at the new videos I'll be uploading over the next few days. Click the notify me days. Click the notify me button to be notified when the live stream begins, and I'll see you soon.
Well, I think this time I actually left myself going up to hit stop.
Begins, and I'll see you soon.
So stop it anywhere there. highlight that and delete the end. Now let's look at the whole project. Okay, so now what I'll do is I will bring the music back. I'm going to highlight all of this, drag it back to the beginning, and as you can see, it looks like my edits were a little bit different this time than the last time because the music ends at a different spot. So I want that music to end pretty much as the video ends. So you can't see that, so I will drag this up out of the way so you can see what I do. Drag up a little bit further. Well, I could also do this.
Live stream begins, and I'll see you soon.
So let's stretch this out so the audio goes to the end. Let's increase the size of this, make it easier to edit these audio points. Probably there. Bring this back down. We'll zoom. Put this back at the beginning. Do one final walkthrough.
Hello, join me today at 1 p.m. Eastern for my weekly live stream that's all about helping you with Camtasia, video editing for YouTube, and live streaming. I share editing and recording tips on...
Actually, one thing, I didn't do this in the trailer, but I probably should have. When it cuts like that,
live streaming, I share...
If you want to hide that cut a little bit, come up here to properties. Oh, now you can't see because I'm going to bring myself down over here now. Okay, so with this highlighted up in properties, let's change the scale. Remember what I said about the eyes. We want to keep the eyes in the center. And if you can see, my eyes are nearer the top of this video. So I'm going to drag this scale up a bit. But I think I have to, and then just keep back and forth here and see what the eyes are doing. Up a little bit, so when I scale in, I also want to drag it down. I'm just holding shift as I drag it down a little bit. Oh, it's snapping. Let's turn Canva snapping off so we have a little more control. How's that? That's closer. Maybe a bit up. So see that now.
Hello, join me today at 1 p.m. Eastern for my weekly live stream that's all about helping you with Camtasia, video editing for YouTube, and live streaming. I share editing and recording tips on everything from getting the best screen recordings to leveling up your audio and video, and I do so by demonstrating while sharing my screen and answering questions from you.
So something else you could do is go up to animations, right, and drop a custom animation, or what I need to start getting used to with this highlighted, just shift A. That drops an animation there. And whoops, let's do a slow zoom on this one, like that, and a little bit down. Okay, and I'm going to right click and make sure easing is off, and it is. So this is what that looks like.
Screen recordings to leveling up your audio and video, and I do so by demonstrating while sharing my screen and answering questions from you live. I'll be answering some questions I received throughout the week as well, and I'll also be diving deeper into the YouTube videos I posted since last week and giving a sneak peek at the new videos I'll be uploading over the next few days. Click the notify me button.
That's a good candidate for zooming in again. Now, if you want to remember, if you want this to be punched in by the same amount as the previous one that I did, just a quick tip here is to come back here to the one you want. Let's say I want to zoom in the exact same as this one. Right click, copy properties. Okay, now come over here, right click, paste properties. All right.
Over the next few days. Click the notify me button to be notified when the live stream begins, and I'll see you soon.
There you go. So then export, upload to YouTube, attach it as the trailer for my live stream, and done. It takes 15 minutes for me to do that. The first time I did it, it took longer than that, but once you get in a rhythm, and try to save as many things as you can from project to project. Like if you're redoing the same type of content over and over again, whether you're using templates or saving certain things as Camtasia assets in your library, those are all good ways to, or a script, copy and paste a script and just kind of reuse the same template or format that you have for your scripting as well. Anything you can do like that will help you be able to create additional content in the same look faster. So that's something to work on if you want to get faster at repeating video creation, repeating the process of making a bunch of videos for the same type of customer or the exact same customer, whether it's you or the customer. Anyways, so that's just some tips, and hopefully that helped. Let me just jump back here and see what we got. Let's see. Jolene says, to cut a section, use split and then close it up. I highlight the section and then cut, Control X. Personal preference, or is your way better for some reason? Personal preference. So when you say, let's just jump back here. When you say you highlight a section, I'm assuming you mean by dragging the playhead like this. Let me just do that and then cut. Okay, so is that what you mean? Because I did that, and it did delete the section, but it doesn't close mine up. How do you get yours to close up automatically? I still think I would have to do this process here to close the loop. Let me just Control Z back. It also might be a difference between Mac and Windows, whereas if I've gotten used, so I used to cut mine up like this without using the stitching and whatnot. I never used to use that until the last few months. Never really knew about it, quite honestly. This is the way I did it. But if you cut out a section and it's still stitched together, I believe when you add an effect to that section, it's still across all sections of your section, if that makes sense. Whereas in my case, if I did all of these edits before I added my effect here, my color adjustment effect, I'd have to then copy that and paste it to all of the other ones. So yeah, probably just a personal preference thing. Like most video editors, there's more than one way typically to do things. It's whatever you can do the fastest. Typically it's whatever you've learned first, unless if you then learn something else after you've got a set way of doing things, that new way would probably have to be a lot better in order for you to change the way you do things. Otherwise, it's going to be quite the change, if that makes sense. So yeah, your way may be better. Okay, and you just said here, on Windows it closes up automatically and stitches. Yeah, not on a Mac. I'm going to look into that some more, because if that closed up automatically and stitched, then maybe perhaps it would be something, because there is a few different keystrokes I have to do to make my edit. It would be nice if there was more. It's like a ripple delete. Like I could, let me just go back here. Just play, no, I was there. Let me go back here. I'll just move the comment out of the way. If I do that, whoops. Say I make an edit like this. If I right click, ripple delete range is an option. Okay, and then it stitched it. Okay, and now this effect is applied over the whole thing, not two separate effects. Let's Control Z that. Let's right click. What else do I have? Just delete range. Okay, that's what my Control X does. It just deletes it. It doesn't ripple delete it. Let me go up to, I'm going to try to learn something here. Let's go up to Camtasia settings. And let's go to shortcuts, timeline editing. This is where, so stitch all selected media, no. Split. Remove all stitches. Yeah, no, it doesn't appear. I think that's something you can do in Windows, but not Mac, unfortunately, for us Mac users, because that might be a little more useful. So yeah, there you go. I'm going to make a note of that though. Camtasia Mac shortcut for ripple delete. If it is available, I'll find out. If it's not, I will suggest that it becomes available. So hopefully, maybe we can convince them to add that. Cool. Okay. Let's go back here. So that was the trailer video. How are we doing for time? So I've been at this for 2 hours, and I haven't really gotten to the things I kind of did cover a lot of these things, but let's just keep going. Let's go down here, upcoming videos. So I have some ideas already that you guys gave me for upcoming videos. The behind the scenes one is something I am still kind of working on. Not actively, like I'm not shooting it yet. I'm still working on the best way to present that. So that's going to be a little bit more involved, a little more scripting involved. Because if I just went ahead and filmed myself all day, that would take forever to edit. So I got to put some thought into the best way to do that. I'm not going to film everything all day long, but every time I kind of change what I'm doing and do something different, I'll film that, and I'll probably have to put the camera in a different place, make sure my audio is getting captured as well. It might also be a video that has a lot of it as B-roll, in the sense that the audio you hear may be voiceover from me. Like I might be talking my voice, but you're seeing me do something different, not speaking, if that makes sense. So that's a different type of video, and it's just going to take a little bit longer to put that together, but I am working on that. And I also thought it would be helpful to make a video on the difference between the subscription versus paid licenses for Camtasia. I've talked about this a few times already, so let me know if you already know, or if you want to hear it. Just let me know if this part of it is useful. I'll kind of go ahead and explain. But as many of you know, the perpetual license option for buying Camtasia is going away. Okay? It used to be that you would buy Camtasia, like the current version, and you would typically be eligible to upgrade to the next version for free, right? When you buy a license, you get the next upgrade for free as well. That's usually the way they did it. And then beyond that, if you wanted updates, you'd have to pay for their maintenance plan, which was usually quite a bit less expensive, like a $50 or $80 a year fee to be able to keep getting the updates from year to year. So that was the way Camtasia was sold up until a few months ago, a couple months ago, like a month ago. They're moving to getting rid of that and a full subscription option, which means you will be paying annually a subscription fee that is higher than the maintenance plan, but lower than the one-time, like the first-time cost of buying the perpetual license. Okay, so for anybody new who wants to get into Camtasia, it's going to be more affordable to start using it. So it'll be like $180 a year. I think that's what it is, $179, something like that, US dollars per year. But it's going to be that amount every year. Okay, and then that's going to allow Camtasia, or TechSmith, the parent company, to release new versions of Camtasia on a more ongoing basis. They're not going to have to wait for an annual dump of a whole bunch of new features. They're just going to release new features all year long as the year goes. Okay, and you'll be able to, update to the latest version every time they do that, if you're a subscriber. Now, there's a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, I don't know what the ratio is, but there are some people who don't like subscriptions. They've had enough of subscriptions. They pay too many services via subscriptions. They don't want any more subscriptions. And I understand that. But the reality is, things like video editing, like software in general, is advancing fairly fast, right? And if you want the software that you like and use to stay on top of things and to keep releasing new versions of things and updates, then you kind of want them to release things more quickly and be able to. And what makes it easier for them to do that is by offering their software on a subscription basis. They can pay, that allows them more revenue to pay developers to develop faster and to stay on top of things, fast-moving things like AI, which is coming to Camtasia. It's already here with the background remover and the dynamic captions, but more and more things are going to be added to it starting very soon. So that's the reason for moving to subscription. Now, if you still don't like it, and especially if you've bought Camtasia before and you already have a perpetual license, well, all you have to do is make sure your maintenance plan is up to date, right? And then you'll be able to keep paying that maintenance fee, annual maintenance fee, instead of having to switch to a subscription fee. Remember, the subscription is $180 a year. The maintenance plan, I want to say it's around $70 or $80 a year. It's a lot less, whatever it is. And it might even be different depending on when you started paying the maintenance plan. If you are a long-time user, I think it might even be less. Like you got in when it was really low. I think. Not 100% sure on that. So for example, I am on the maintenance plan and I'm not going to let it expire because I want to keep using Camtasia. If you have let yours expire and you still are on and you still have a perpetual license, but let's say you're not up to date, okay, maybe you're using Camtasia 2023 still, and you have not, let's say you bought it in 2022 and you got a free upgrade to 2023, but you then didn't pay the maintenance plan, so you can't get 2024. Let's say you're in that position. Well, if you think you want to wait and get 2025 when that comes out, don't wait. You want to do that now, because if you wait, they're only offering this maintenance plan upgrade until October. And it's October when they're going to come out with Camtasia 2025. Once Camtasia 2025 is available, it will only be available as a subscription, except for those who have an updated maintenance plan, right? Then they'll be able to get it as well. But if you have let your maintenance plan expire and it's still expired when Camtasia 2025 comes out, then you're going to be out of luck. And the only way to get it then is to pay the $180 to become a subscriber. Okay? So, that said, if you're at all interested in what's coming in Camtasia 2025, things like AI avatars, noise reduction, and some other things that, check out last week's or 2 weeks ago live stream where I went over the things they're working on. If you have any interest in any of those things, then you want to pay right now is your window where you can pay the maintenance plan and bring your maintenance up to date, okay? And then you'll be able to stay on that plan for, every year. Now, there will come a time, maybe in 3 years, maybe in 5 years, I don't know, where the maintenance plan fee might continue to go up in price, and the subscription fee may even come down. Who knows? I don't know. Can't predict the future. But for right now, anyways, I know that right now, if it's $80 or $70, whatever it is, it's going to be $180 if you wait till October. So that's what I wanted to make clear. And if it's not clear, let me know. Let me know whatever questions you might have. And if I don't know the answer, I'll take them to TechSmith and I'll ask, and then I'll clarify here. But I want that to be something that anybody that you guys are aware of. I don't want anybody to be caught by thinking, oh, I wanted to get the 2025 version. I held off. I didn't like the fact that, there was only a couple things added in 2024, not some things that I wanted, and I was waiting. And now anyway, that's what I'm trying to avoid. Learn Ukulele says, is there a way to rename clip edits? For example, you cut an hour of filming into 12 sections. Can you name the clip sections? No, I don't believe you can. What I would do is drop a marker on your clip and then name it that way. Okay, so I can show you this really quick. If we come over here, let's say this is your hour video. I mean, it's only 30 seconds, but let's just say it's an hour long. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sections. So what I would do is I would come up here to where it says markers. So markers is not an option for me right now. I have to hit this drop down arrow and see where it says quiz here. You want to select marker. Okay, now with marker selected, see this little blue thing, this little blue plus icon that appears when I drag it over here? That's where I can drop a marker on the timeline, just like that. Okay, that's not what I want to do though. So let's right click this and delete it. Okay, now I can drop it again. Instead of dropping a marker on a timeline, drop it on your clip. So if we bring down here, now it's hovering over this clip. If I keep going down here, oh, now I can drop a marker on that clip. Okay, and the reason is if I drop a marker here, okay, and then over here I will rename that. I'll just call it, section 1. Enter. Now you can see it says section 1 here, and since I dropped it on that clip, I can click and move it wherever, and it still says section 1. All right. So, but if I dropped one up here, wait, now let's delete that. Let's put it over here. Let's say I drop it here, and we'll call that section 2. Okay. That's right on the timeline. So if I come to this thing and I move it, see that marker's not moving with it. Let me Control Z. So the only way to get that text to move with it is to drop the marker right on the clip. So that's what I would do. I would put a section 1 there and right click section 2 and so on. Okay, and then you can move them around like that. Okay, and that's a way to get labels. Basically, that's what you're talking about. You'd like to add labels, so that's the way you can do that in Camtasia. Okay, with markers. Okay, so hopefully that helped. Come back here. Okay, I talked about subscription and paid licenses. I talked about behind the scenes. Blurring a moving object. Let me talk about this really quick. So it was a question posed to me this past week. How do I blur something that's moving? Okay, and there is, before I get started with this, just to let you know, there is not an easy way to do it in Camtasia. Okay, there is no, the way you would typically do it in other video editing softwares would be with motion tracking. You would use motion tracking and then kind of attach a blur to that motion track and have it follow on screen, right? That's a bit of AI involved in doing that. There's a complicated way to do it in some of the video editing software where you have to keyframe every bit of the object and then have it track it back and forth, and then you can attach a blur to that, or even call out text, have it pointing to something that's moving all the time. Again, that's not available in Camtasia yet, and I say yet because it is something they're working on. Again, if you check back to 2 live streams ago when I went over everything they're working on for 2025 and beyond, motion tracking is one of them. I don't think it's something that'll be in 2025, or not the first release of 2025 in October, but it is something they're working on. In the meantime, this is what I would do. So let me come here, and I'm just going to grab a browser window. Where'd it go? Right here. I'm going to change my screen. My very small browser window. Let's go to Motion Array. Motion Array. Nope. Here, let me just find it first. And sign in. I mean, I suppose could have gone to the Camtasia assets as well, but here I am. Let's go into footage and let's search for, I don't know, moving car. See what we find. I want to see something that's, you can just kind of put your cursor over it and see things moving. No, let's try something maritime, surfing. Here we go. Oh, I think I've used this one before in a video. Let's grab that and download it. HD is good. Okay, let's get out of there, and I'll just do it right here on this. Actually, no, I won't. Let's close that and don't save it. Let's go new project. Yeah, you can see this. In my media, my projects, go into live stream, go to my downloads folder, I'll find that file, and then I will bring it in here. Okay, there's the video. So I'm going to do something here that I did not do this ahead of time, so I'm going to kind of struggle through this with you watching. And as you may have noticed, see this little yellow dot here? So Camtasia automatically created a proxy video for this. That'll help speed things up. All it means is it'll be a little bit blurry here in the canvas, but it'll allow me to move things around in the timeline a lot easier, a lot quicker. Okay, so let me just scroll this up here. I'll stretch this out. Okay, and if I'm just going to, okay, so yeah, this is going to be something else here. Let's say I wanted to blur his face out. Now it already looks a bit blurred. Let's say I just wanted to blur the whole person out. So what I would do is I would go to my favorites and get the blur annotation here. But if you don't have it in your favorites, go to annotations, this teardrop or water drop here, and it's this one. This is the blur. Click that and drag it down. Okay, now here is blur. Wherever you have this, things are blurry. So let's blur this person. So again, you may want to blur an email address in a screen recording. You may want to blur a license plate of a car. You may want to blur a child's face that's in a video, right? Any number of things you might want to do. Well, if I put that here, the blur doesn't move, okay? I mean, I'll stretch it out like this, but it doesn't move. Well, there's a couple ways you can make it move. You can either do a whole bunch of animations, or you can use the motion path effect, okay? So the motion path would be in visual effects. If you scroll down and you go to motion path and you drag that onto the blur, okay, and here it is. You can see how it moved. You might not be able to see how it moved, but it's kind of hard to. But it is moving. See how it moved down there? Might be hard. Let me try to zoom this in a little bit more so you can kind of see the blur move as I drag the playhead. Okay, so let's move this back to where we want to start. And I'm going to move that back to where we want to start. And now let's move it back here to where we want to start. Okay, and now we just have to start modifying it. So if we come to the, so we have a couple different motions. We've got it going over to around there. So let's stretch the, whoops, I just want to drag this point to here, and I want to drag it to there. Okay, and you can see that it moves from there to there, and it's pretty close. You know, if you feel like, so maybe right there I wanted it to be a little further along, I can drop a point here, right click, add motion path point at playhead, right there, And now I can drag that and let's put it right there at that point. And then even at the end, I think I want it to be a little further along. Okay. And now what's happening? Now it's coming back. So what I'd probably do is right click. Actually, let's make it do it when we come back here. Right click, extend motion path to playhead. Okay, so this is going to be another one to there. That happened way too fast, so here I drag it back there. See how it's moving? Okay, now at this point, now it's going to go over to there. Right click, extend. But again, I want it to come all the way back here. That's probably fine, but then at the end, it's there, so I bring this over to here. Nope, Control Z, that didn't work right. No, oh, I've got them both selected. I only want to select this one, the end. There, something like that. That's happening too fast. So let's drop a point here, add motion point there. I'll bring it back. That should happen a little faster there. I'll drop another point. And at that point, I'll bring it ahead a little more. Oh, then it happened too fast. So let's drop another point, but bring it back and just check it out, test it. Maybe at this point, I'll drop a point and I'll make sure it's highlighted and put it up a little bit. Okay, right there I came out, so add a motion point there, up there. Okay, and now I didn't spend any time at all playing with the handles to modify the curves, but that pretty much does it. So we'll just play that all the way through. How's that? Not too bad. And just so you know, this is the first time I've ever done that. Okay, and that's because I learned about motion path in the last month or so, 2 months ago, when I made a video on how to do it. It's a relatively new feature. I think it was last year that it came out. But before that, I would have to use a whole bunch of animation arrows, the animation effect, not the motion path effect. Okay, so I forget who it was that asked me to kind of demonstrate that, but if you're there watching, hopefully that helps. Or if you watch on the replay afterwards, I hope that helped. If anybody has any questions about how to do this, let me know. I could make a video on this, perhaps. Might be a good video to make, actually. Something like that. And also, I didn't need to, that blur, this blur here, if I go up to blur, I can change the intensity as well. So anyways, there's other things you can do, but that's, if you're just looking to hide something kind of quickly, that's an easy way to do it using motion path. So hopefully that helps as well. Let me just double check. Where are we at here? And how are we doing for time? It is 4:25, 2 hours and 25 minutes in. Are we good? Do we want to keep going, or do you think that's enough for the day? What do you think? Blur a moving object. That's what we just covered. Recent video intro. I already talked about that. That was the behaviors versus animations, or animations versus behaviors, whatever I called it. The video I made last Thursday. I went over how I made the intro for that by using behaviors and animations and a little bit of a cartoon intro to that video. If you want to check that out, if you're just joining now, you can either rewind and see that earlier in this video, or check out the video animations versus behaviors that I released last Thursday, and you can see that. Camtasia 2025 update. Already talked about that as well. Okay, so the last thing, and I will talk about this, the Camtasia recorder versus in-camera recorder. Let me just double check the chat here and make sure I'm up to date. I think I am. Oh, before I get into this, one more thing. I just want to double check the poll one last time. So, besides Camtasia videos, which I'll continue to make, what other videos do you want to see me make? 63% of you said behind the scenes how I work video. So that's more than half of you. That's great. And yeah, these polls only allow me to give 4 choices, and I can't give a and B choice, that sort of thing. So this is kind of rudimentary, but perhaps I should make a more detailed poll on my website at some point. But yeah, most of you want to see a behind the scenes video, so I'm working on that, and we'll do that. How to live. So second is how to be successful on YouTube. 19%. That's good, because in the back of my mind I was thinking that's probably a direction I want to go as well on this channel, to help you guys do that. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing. I feel kind of funny telling you how to be successful on YouTube now, since like my YouTube channel, I'm not to the point where it's not paying all my bills yet. So I am monetized. It is a channel. We're growing nicely right now, but I wouldn't say I'm to the point where I feel comfortable speaking like an expert. There's a lot I know, but I almost feel like I almost kind of get there. I have to get there myself before I start telling you how to do it yourself. But I'm more thinking along the lines of to tell you, basically follow my journey. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is what's worked so far. This is where we're at. This is how many subscribers we got in the last month. This is how much money I made from AdSense in the last month. Things like that. This is how many videos I posted. Like, if you want me to kind of document that a little bit better, maybe in a monthly video, that's kind of what I'm thinking of along those lines. Let me know if that's the kind of thing you'd like to see. And 14% of you would like to learn more about live streaming, how to live stream. I'm thinking about that as well. I've also, every once in a while, somebody will ask a question in this live stream about how I do certain things, like with the microphone, the cameras, switching, and all that stuff. And I'm happy to share any of that with you as well. And how to be a successful freelancer, just 4% of you, but that's some. So I'll look at doing that as well. So at this point, 28 votes. That's great. I will click to end the poll. And there we go, poll complete. So thank you for participating in that. Now, last thing I wanted to talk about is Camtasia's recorder versus in-camera recorder. And I had a couple things written down here. I'll just take a drink before I go on. For someone who spends all day editing videos and working on Camtasia here in my office, for the most part, I'm pretty quiet when I'm editing videos. Then all of a sudden, Tuesdays come along and I do a live stream and I speak non-stop for 2.5, 3 hours. A little different. I'm not used to it. I need to take drinks often. Anyways, and that's a tip. If you're doing voiceovers and stuff, always have some water or something that you beside you that you can drink. It helps. So, the recorder. I don't always use the Camtasia recorder. And I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you when I use it and when I don't. When I'm making tutorial videos, for my clients, I use it. I use it to record my screen, and the advantages of using it, excuse me, the hiccups. The advantages of using it is that it records your screen and your cursor separately. That's one advantage. But also it records more efficiently. And what I mean by that is, it's like, again, I'm not technical enough to know exactly why or what, but I do know the file size is a whole lot smaller than it is if I just use OBS or Ecamm to record my screen. That records it like a true video, okay? Whereas whatever Camtasia is doing in the background, they're recording the screen, but not really true video. It's like a, well, it's a T-Rec file, I believe, is what their proprietary extension is. And it's very clear, right? You can zoom in and things aren't blurry, and the cursor is separated outside of that. And that in itself is awesome because it allows you to do things to the cursor. And with every version of Camtasia, it seems, TechSmith is adding more things that we can do to this cursor. So you can scale it up or down. You can change the color. You can add a glow. You can now add click scaling. In other words, when it clicks, it shows it like depressing, like it did click on something. Click sounds, you know, easily. You can add all these things. Well, click sounds automatically. So you can do all these things. You can also modify the cursor. You can change its path, its speed. You can make it smoother. You can delete it altogether and then create a new one from scratch, the cursor that is. All of that can be edited separate from the screen. Okay, big plus. And when I create video tutorials for my clients, I do that because I want that ability to create very professional looking tutorial videos for my clients. I want the cursor to be smooth. I want it to be bigger. I want a little drop shadow on the cursor, right? And you can also add a custom cursor, like if you wanted to use your own logo or your client's logo as the pointer on screen, you can do that. So there's that. Now, there are times that I don't use the Camtasia recorder, and that is when I'm making these tutorial videos of Camtasia, right? I don't use Camtasia's recorder to record that. I just use OBS. And you know, could I make it better by being able to modify the cursor? Yes, if I use Camtasia's recorder. But the reality is, the system I now have in place for creating these tutorials, I don't want to take the extra time to do those edits, if that makes sense. I only do that when I'm doing it for other people for, you know, for paid work kind of thing. Whereas here we're talking about Camtasia, I don't think it's a big deal if the cursor doesn't look as good as it could. And I can also edit in a zoom in if I really wanted to show something more clearly. I could add highlights or zooms to achieve the same thing. And also, if I were using Camtasia on Windows, it can be problematic to record yourself in Camtasia with Camtasia, if that makes sense. So just to kind of keep that all set in my head, it's just easier for me to record in OBS. So there's that. Now, the other reason why I first wrote this down was to talk about video, not just screen recording, but video like this, my face in the video. I also don't use Camtasia's video capture when I'm when I want to capture myself. Okay, and you may have noticed that. And the reason I started doing it the way I do it is because if I wanted to capture myself in 4K, the way I have my camera connected to my computer doesn't allow me to do that. I have my camera connected to the ATEM Mini video switcher, and that is this going to work? Yeah. So I'm now showing you the video from my camera, or from my phone, my iPhone. This thing here is a video switcher that, if you see, I'm going to press this number here. See, it switched that camera there. So now it's looking at that chair. which you can now see here. That's just me. I'm currently setting up how I'm probably going to film myself, do like a talking head video. So that's what that's all about. But anyways, my point is, let me just get this set up again. What was my point? My point is, it's all connected. So this camera, as well as that other camera right there, are both connected to this video switcher. So I can hit a button on this switcher and switch camera angles. Oftentimes that view was from over here. That's just, I moved the camera over there, okay? So I can switch that with this switcher, but that switcher it can only handle 1080p video. It cannot handle 4K video, okay? And if I want to record in 4K, then I can't have it going through this switcher and then from that switcher into Camtasia, all right? This switcher is recognized as a webcam by my computer. So when I open up Camtasia, Camtasia sees that A10 Mini. It's actually called, what it sees is called Blackmagic. That's the company that makes the A10 Mini. And yes, Brigadier, the A10 Mini is full HD, meaning 1080p. 1920 by 1080 is what it'll do. But it won't do 4K. So it won't do Ultra HD, which is 4K. My cameras here will do 4K. So if I want to make a video with 4K video, what I do is I record to the SD card that is in my camera. All right. And then I will take that card and either take it out of the camera and into the computer and then copy that footage over to my computer and then import it into Camtasia. Or what I've started to do is I have a USB cable going from the camera to my computer, to my dock actually, and then I can just kind of copy from the camera to the computer, the file from the SD card, okay, and then it's 4K. That's why I do it the way I do it. And then if I'm making a video over here, if I'm going to make a video here, like this wire here is the battery. I have a dummy battery plugged into the wall, so I don't have to keep changing batteries. And then this wire here is the HDMI out, which is what's allowing me to switch it over here, and you can see what that camera sees. I can just rotate that for now, and you can see me, right? Just like that. Okay, that's because of this HDMI cable here. Sorry, you can't see that. This HDMI cable here is plugged into this switcher. So just because of the way I have it wired up, that's why. And even if I'm filming at 1080p, when I was recording from this camera through the A10 and into Camtasia, it wasn't always, like, I was experiencing some lag. And so I just, I just don't do it that way. And for and when I'm making videos for clients, I don't ever put my face in my client videos. I only use my voiceover. So because of that, I don't have to capture video for those types of for client videos. It's just my voiceover, and I do that separately. Again, for the same reasons. I use this microphone. Yes, it's connected into Camtasia, but I will often make mistakes, and I want to process the audio after I'm done recording it. So that's why I just record it in Audition, which is exactly where I do my processing afterwards. And you can do the same thing with Audacity, a free software, which I'm in the middle of learning, and I will tell you how to use that very soon. It just removes a step. It removed, like if I recorded my audio directly into Camtasia, then I would have to export the audio from Camtasia to do my audio processing and then bring it back in. So I don't want to have to do that. And yes, I know you can do some audio processing with Audiate now. It's just that I'm not used to that. I'm going to get into that, but I haven't in the past. So that's why I do it the way I do it. So yeah, I just wanted to discuss that a little bit about how the process I go through when making a video, whether it includes screen recordings or video or just one or the other, both, whatever. So that's what I have. That's what I do. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. If I just go back to some of these chats. Learn Ukulele says, great job. I got some nuggets. Thanks. Awesome. I'm glad you did. That's what I'm here for, to help. And Brigadier William Wild Beast says, A10 Mini is full HD, right? Yes, it is. Full HD. Not 4K, though. Not the one I have, anyways. And this one's probably 3 years old, the one I have. It's the A10 Mini Pro. And you say, your desk is tidier than mine. Oh, well, I usually tidy it up a little bit for these live streams, but other than that, it can be pretty messy. Cortez SA says, beautiful equipment, Rob. Thank you very much for your explanations. A big hug from Brazil. City of Sao Paulo, Sergio. Thanks, Sergio. And thanks for stopping in today. From Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil. I've never been there. That would be cool to go there sometime. Jolene Morris says, as always, thanks for your time. A video on customized cursors would be nice. Okay, cool. I'm going to write that down. I do have a video on how to edit your cursor, but that was more the cursor path, I believe. But specifically customized cursors. I'm going to write that down. Video. Noted. Duly noted. So I will look at that for the future as well. And I think I am caught up on the chats. And we are coming up on 3 hours. So I think I'm going to put a stop to this right now. It's been long enough. My throat's getting a little dry. I'm going to get something to eat. Thank you, everybody, for stopping in today. It was fun. Went through a lot of stuff. If there's anything you'd like to see me cover next week, differently than this week, let me know. You can let me know in the comments below. You can let me know in this live chat now. But once I press stop on this, that option will be gone for you. You'll be able to leave a comment below. Or you can always send me an email at workwith@robthemaritimer.com. That's workwith@robthemaritimer.com. I'm going to type that in here. Doesn't mean you have to work with me, but that's just the email address I created. At some point, that's what it'll be for. At Rob. There it is. Workwith@robthemaritimer.com. And I'll answer any questions you have there. Suggestions too. Any suggestions that you have for me for future videos, you can send there as well. And yeah, so that's it for this week. Thanks again for stopping in. I hope you had a good time. I did. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next Tuesday for the next live stream. Bye for now.